So today we're going to be looking at Jax Forrest. He's going to into his junior year of high school. He is one of the best and most popular high school wrestlers in the country right now. And he has this system that I really like. So if this is your first time ever watching the channel, I'm actually going to spend most of the video breaking down actual film. But when they have a system like this, I like writing it out. Maybe you guys can screenshot it if you would like to. So just to give you guys an idea. So he has two main techniques that he hit very consistently, or at least attempt to hit in most of his matches. That's his elbow control slide by that people are loving right now, and his I put them all in one category: lazy fireman's dump, barrel roll. They're all kind of one. They're all variations of a dump. He also adds in the short drag, and he's developing a head snap that I feel like by the time he gets to college is going to benefit his game a lot. So first, I'm going to show you guys a few clips of him doing the elbow control slide by. So in this first clip, we're going to be looking at Liam Cronin, all NCAA All-American D1 from Nebraska. So Jax Forrest, when he does his slide by, he looks all the way away. He looks away completely from the opponent. He's not still forehead to forehead. That's something that so many high school wrestlers have a problem with. Also, that foot is pivoting so his toes can face the same direction that he's taking his opponent towards. That's very important. The slide by is one of those techniques. After watching Jax Forrest as well as Rebek Sidikov, the slide by is one of those things to where I feel like it's known as a cool technique that doesn't really work at the highest level because guys just aren't doing it correctly. Again, I mean, this is him at his Who's Number One match, right? So this is two top wrestlers in the country. Who's number one, completely looking away. I mean, he gets a lot of torque on his move. It kind of reminds me of the side hip toss, how low his head gets, the way he needs to pivot his feet. That's the body mechanics remind me of that type of technique. So I wanted to talk about how why the elbow control slide by in particular is, in my opinion, the best version of the slide by in a lot of aspects, but also what makes it not the best version. So starting with why it's not the best version. Well, I'm sorry. Slide by to the Merkle. This is against Jordan Rainey as well. So he did it against a top competitor. The slide by to the Merkle is a combination you'll see a lot of slide by guys use because you end up in that position where your leg gets snaked in their leg quite often. But the reason why the elbow control slide by is so good, first, it's super hard to telegraph. Right? The other moves you can telegraph. So I'm comparing it to a shark by in the traditional slide by where you lace your arm all the way in and grab the back of their tricep and do it that way. That move there, you're not hanging out in this position. You're not hanging out there, or you're telegraphing it. So you have to let go of whatever hold that you currently have and get to it. Obviously, it still works. It works amazingly. Sidikov, that's the one he does. He does the traditional slide by. So I'm not saying that move doesn't work. I'm actually saying it works really well. The only thing about it is you have to let go of your grip and then hit it. In that split second, you can have guys who react, as well as the shark by. The shark by is when you're collar tie, and you use your forearm behind their elbow on their tricep to hit the slide by, right? It's just a variation of the slide by. And the reason why that's okay too, but you can also maybe telegraph it because you can't hang out in that position. With the elbow control slide by, people hold the elbow all the time, or tricep, doesn't matter. You can hold it all the time. You can do a duck under from there. You can do a high crotch. And you can just do a basic elbow pass. So it's not, you can chill in that position before doing the technique, which makes it easier to not telegraph, right? Another thing about the elbow control slide by is you can do it from any inside position of your opponent. So with the shark by, you can only do a shark by when your opponent has a collar tie. That's the only time you can do a shark by. Now, you typically need a collar tie, or you can also have an underhook. Pat Glory does that when he has to underhook, his opponent has to collar tie. He can hit a shark by from there. So that's also a possibility as well. But your opponent needs a collar tie. Even with the traditional slide by. With the traditional slide by, when you snake your arm through, some people call it a crowbar slide by, you typically need your opponent to also have a collar tie. There's only 99% of the time. There's only one wrestler I've seen who does the slide by, traditional one, who can hit that variation of the slide by even when his opponent has like an inside tie or something. And that wrestler is Serbet Sidikov, which is why I will be releasing a slide by video on Sidikov very soon, because it's two things that he does really well with his slide by to make it so effective. But typically, guys cannot do that. So with the elbow control slide by, their hand can be on your neck, their hand can be on your tricep. If they have inside tie, it can be on your shoulder, on your trap, just post it. You can do it from any of those positions, which make it a lot more versatile. The only thing about it is the reason why it can be the hardest variation to learn is because on every single slide by variation, you need your elbow to face the ceiling. And it's harder to get your elbow facing the ceiling on the elbow control slide by, which is why you need to torque and twist so much in order to be able to hit it, which I'm going to show you in these videos of Jax Forrest in the body position he ends up in. Now we're going to look at a few clips of him using the lazy fireman's dump barrel roll. So when he does this technique, he can do it. There's multiple variations of it. That's why I use lazy fireman's dump barrel roll. They're all variations of the same technique. Sometimes he drops on his knee. Sometimes he drops like on his hip. The reason I like when he does it is because he's also super good at doing it from a rear attack. This is him versus NCAA champion Nathan Tomasello. He's a sophomore in high school in this clip. And he does it as a rear attack. He's very good at doing it off a rear attack. He's very good at getting back points from this position. As you can see here on his knee, he also can do the variation where he falls like to his butt, like to the outside of his thigh. I don't like that variation as much because it's more risky than when you drop to both knees the way that Austin DeSanto and Spencer Lee does it. He actually got cradled from that position one time against Jordan Rainey the first time they wrestled when he was winning in the match like 14-2. Another thing that him and Bo Baxter do well is they will use the Navy rod. The Navy rod position is a position that you will end up in a lot from the fireman's carry. When you lose that arm, even when you keep the arm, it's a good way to still try to get some back points out of that position. That a lot of guys that do the fireman's carry or the dump don't really utilize as much, unfortunately. But I know for the older guys who watch my channel and who wrestle in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you guys are very familiar with the Navy rod. I'm sure you guys used it all the time. These clips are good to look at because you see all the different ways to end up getting back points. Rear attack again, the opponent end up sitting to their butt momentarily, so you didn't have to carry him over, but same thing. And then he ends up punching in that half. Not really a half, not around the neck, but anything to get back points from this position. If you're going to do this technique, at least try your best to get back points out of it. You're not going to always get back points. Sometimes you'll just have to settle for the 3-point takedown, but back points is there more often than not. So see, that's the perfect, that's an inside dump, right? So sometimes you're actually carrying them over your shoulders. Sometimes you're just doing an over the head finish. Sometimes you're falling, but you're still on both knees. Sometimes you're dropping down to your hip. He's also really good at getting to the fireman's as a second effort, right? So he does like a sweep single type of motion, and then he's able to go fireman's, just finishes out back door. I didn't slow this down. That's how it came from flow. I guess the footage was kind of wacky, but he's able to get back points from it. Just want to show you guys all the examples that I have available. I do have timestamps below, so if you feel like one section of the video you're good on, you can always just move on to the next one on your own, so you don't miss anything big, like any big categories. And he's very good at getting his head underneath. Now this is a clip where he used the Navy rod to, I'm going to replay it, where he used Navy rod to get him back to his back and get 2 back points off of it. So he loses the arm. That would happen a lot, but he gets the Navy rod, turns him back over, traps him for 2 swipes, and then makes the move from a 2-point move to a 4-point move. This upcoming season, obviously, it'd be 3-5. I think that tournament may have been 3-point takedown anyway, so I'm not sure. It doesn't change the technique. arm drag. Try to do an arm drag, go behind it and work. And then this is a guy who goes to Ohio State, by the way. Because for you guys who don't know Jax Forrest, he gained popularity because he goes to a lot of college tournaments, college opens, and compete there. Next, we're going to look at a few clips of him hitting a short drag and a clip of him hitting the head snap, or some of you guys may call it a shuck by. So the short drag position is a great position. Like I've already said earlier in the video, I've made multiple videos about it. This is him against world champion Thomas Gilman at the Olympic trials this year. Remember, he's a sophomore in high school. The short drag position is a great position. For one, anyone who is good at the short drag is also good at getting stalemates from this position. And when you're good at getting stalemates from the front headlock, then you can take a shot like this. And even if Jax Forrest didn't score right now, he just took a shot. He got stuck in the front headlock position. He'll stay here for 5 seconds, and the referee will call stalemate, and he'll get right back up on his feet. So that's very important. That's a very important skill to have. But that's level 1 of shot recovery. Second level is being able to score a takedown from shot recovery as well. And the short drag is one of the best ways to do that, and one of the most low energy ways to do it as well. So sometimes he may end up here just from walking down to the mat himself. Sometimes he may end up here while protecting himself against a go behind. And sometimes he may end up here from trying to do some type of fireman's carry or dump. And then the person sprawls on him and gets their legs back. Here you have the head snap, which is a great technique. So you may be wondering, what do all these arrows mean, right? It can get confusing, but it's actually really basic. So one of my favorite things about Jax Forrest's offense is the fact that his 2 main moves go in, like they set up the other one. So chain wrestling is a big thing we talk about on this channel. I post a lot of videos about chain wrestling, inside trip to Uchimata, inside trip to Goshi or Osotogar, whatever you call it, double to barrel hug, all these different things, high flyer to submit mixer. All those different chain combos are amazing. I mean, I think they're 10 out of 10, right? But they're only one way. A double leg sets up a bear hug, but a bear hug doesn't set up a double leg. A high flyer can set up a submit mixer, but a submit mixer can't really set up a high flyer. And so on and so forth. The only technique combinations that I've known of that they both set up each other is actually the short drag and the dump, pretty much, right? That's why I posted a whole 4-part video series on those techniques, because that's very rare. To where if I miss a short drag, if I attempt a short drag and they defend against it, I can go right into the dump. And if I attempt a dump and they defend it, I can go right into the short drag. And their defense to one puts them at even more of a risk to get hit by the other. That's a perfect chain wrestling combination. Well, he also uses that, right? I have a clip of him attempting a dump and then going straight to the short drag, which I'm going to play. But he has this ability to combine his elbow control slide by with his dump, right? And it's very unique. I haven't seen anybody else do this, because one of the things he likes to do when he attempts to slide by is he likes for his opponent to be on their knees. So right here, the light is in the way. I wrote, uses some type of leg attack to ground his opponent. When I say ground, I mean he want at least one of their knees on the mat. If both knees are on the mat, that's perfect. That also alludes to a video I posted over 2 years ago that says how to make the slide by 10 times more effective, where I talk about that principle, and I use Kate Brock and Michael Jordan in their elbow control slide by. I showed several clips of that. So if you enjoyed this Jackson Smith video, I would definitely watch that video next, just to give you a great idea. But that focuses solely on elbow control slide by. So he can attempt a dump, they drop to their knees, and then he goes slide by. Or he can attempt the slide by, then they take out inside control, put in the underhook instead, and then go dump. It's amazing. So let me show you guys a bunch of clips of his chain combos. So first, you're going to have the head snap into a dump. And the head snap, what it does is, typically when you do a head snap, your opponent is going to, if you don't get the takedown, they're going to get an underhook. And he used the underhook against him instantly before he even really had time to react, because he already knew what he wanted to do from that position. Same thing here. He does a head snap. The opponent gets an underhook, and he's gonna grind for the carry or for the dump. I like to throw these clips in there because it shows guys need to know it's not gonna always be a walk in the park every time you attempt this move. Sometimes you have to grind for it, but the takedown is there. Here you're gonna do a dump into a short drag. I posted about this combination endlessly. Again, like I mentioned previously in the video, one of the best technique combinations in all of wrestling, in my opinion, because you have a feet to back component, and you have the fact that the short drag can set up the dump, and the dump can set up the short drag. That's super rare. So you have a shot recovery, a feet to back component, and it's two-sided. I mean, you can't say that about most techniques. Here you have the dump into the elbow control slot by, because the grip is the same. It's the same tricep grip, right? So you can see here, he never gives up his grip on the tricep. Even if he does let go, he can always just get it back again. His opponent is going to get he's going to get inside position. So he doesn't have a collar tie. He doesn't have an inside tie, but he's posted on the shoulder. So he still has inside position, and he's going to get the elbow control slot by. Look how low his head is. Look how low his head is. It's right next to his knee, which happens often. So a lot of you guys are going to practice the elbow control slide by, and you're going to say, I can't get it, I can't get it. Record yourself, slow it down, and see how much torque you're getting on your attempts. A little bit of a partial one, which I'm going to go over later in the video, but he does the dump. Opponent defends it, he keeps the same grip, goes right into the elbow control slide by. And he's not just doing this against wrestlers who aren't good at wrestling, right? Most of the kids he wrestled are pretty decent. Obviously, you have early rounds, around the 64, round 128. But Nathan Tomasello, NCAA champion, really good wrestler, 4-time All-American. I'm going to play that one more time just because it's Nathan Tomasello. So he's going to attempt the inside dump, loses it, uses that same tricep grip. And as Nathan Tomasello is building back up from the mat, from his defending of the dump, he is able to hit it. This one here I like a lot because he's able, even though they go out of bounds, he's able to, the initial inside dump attempt makes his opponent end up on his knees. And doing the slide by from the knees is one of his best tricks. And it shows how you can use the dump to get him to that position, get him down to the mat from that initial attempt. So here, his opponent has inside control. After he attempts the slide by, the opponent ends up opting for an underhook instead, knowing that he can't do the slide by from that position. But doesn't matter because one of his other best moves is the inside dump. Same thing here. He's going to eventually get the takedown. The reason why his opponents, because they have some type of inside positioning, collar tie, inside tie, post on the shoulder. The reason why after he attempts the elbow control slide by, the reason why they want to change grips is because they don't want him to do it again, right? Because that's what happens in this clip. He tries it, the opponent doesn't change his inside position in time, and then he ends up doing the slide by again. So that's why that happens so often. So against Jordan Rainey, just at the Super 32 tournament when they first wrestled. So he's going to attempt the slide by. Rainey tries to transition to a double leg. He ends up with the underhook. And then Jax Forrest sorry if I ever call him Jackson Forrest. I'm just talking, but Jax Forrest ends up going to the dump. So here you see that he kind of thought about doing the inside dump, realizes the opponent is already on the mat. So the elbow control slide by. So you saw everything. I showed when he hit the dump to the short drag, when he attempted the head snap and went right into the fireman's carry. I mean, and obviously the elbow control slide by and the dump going back and forth. Now, over here, now this is when the system gets even better, right? Because I think everything I've gone over so far already is impressive by itself, but he has so many tools in the toolbox, right? So I already went over how he uses some type of leg attack to ground his opponent and how he can use a dump attempt to set up his elbow control slide by. But that's not it. He'll also use an ankle pick attempt. He'll also use just any type of leg attack. So he can use an ankle pick attempt. He'll use a sweep single. And he'll also use a simple straight on shot to try to bait his opponent to hit in the ground. And that's not necessary. Sometimes he just does it to close space and baits them to tie up. And most guys, when they tie up, they want to get a collar tie or an inside tie, and then he uses that to set up his elbow control slide by. But a lot of times he'll use the ankle pick attempt or the straight on shot or the sweep single to get them on the ground, which makes the slide by even easier. So let me show you all the clips of him doing that. So first clip, he's going to shoot. The opponent is going to end up on the mat from the shot, right? And then he goes there. Now, I know you guys are going to say his headgear was coming off. So I wanted to show this because it's a clip, but I understand his headgear was coming off. It may have confused his opponent. I think he would have got taken down anyways. So his most recent match, the Fargo Finals against Seth Mendoza, he did the same exact thing. And you can see that, I'm going to play it after you see him getting his takedown. You can see that as soon as he missed a shot, he's already grabbing that tricep instantly. Shoot the double, miss completely, honestly, but he grabs that tricep. And I don't know if he's using it I'm sure he knows he uses this as a setup, right? And you have to sell that initial attempt. You have to sell it. Because he sprawls completely now. He's on the mat. He's going to reach up and get inside control and easy slot by, right? Now, Seth Mendoza, obviously one of the best in the country. I believe number 3 in the country right now, right? So he reacts to it, but Jack Forrest is still able to eventually get the takedown. And here you have the same thing. The opponent's on the mat, gets inside control, slot by. Now, this is him against Thomas Gilman, hitting the slide by from the knees. This wasn't from his shot attempt. This is just me showing you his best ever clip. World champion Thomas Gilman, right? Olympic bronze medalist, doing the slide by against him when Gilman was on his knees. You can also set it up with a sweep single, and this is the same thought process as the shot reshot. So you hit a sweep, get them on both knees, and I posted clips of Jordan Burroughs doing that, right? You hit a sweep single, they get on both knees, and then you hit them with a blast double because they can't really sprawl when they're already on their knees. Same thought process here. Sweep single, you have to sell it, and now you have elbow control. Pretty easy. Same thing later in the match. I'm going to also show clips where it's from an ankle pick, but they don't hit the mat. This is from his opponent's shot. So his opponent ended up hitting his knee from his own shot attempt, and he's on the knee while reaching up, tying up. That's when the slide by is the easiest, right? They're on there, they're tied up with you, and they're on the mat. Same thing for this opponent. He's going to try to shoot, leave his hand up, doesn't get to the leg, so the slide by is pretty easy. This guy just engaged him on the knee, inside tie. We know what's going to happen. Here, he's going to attempt a low single, and then the opponent ties up with him because of that. Kind of get react to the fake, and that's how he gets there. And then here, he's going to attempt the ankle pick. Now, he will actually get that ankle pick from that elbow control on the opposite side. He will actually get there. There was a match I was watching where he got to it. I didn't write it down. I'm not going to go back. I have no idea what match it was. I'm not going to go back through 100 matches and look for it. He will actually shoot that shot. He can also use an ankle pick attempt to go straight into this family of move, some type of fireman's dump or barrel roll. So, I mean, he's very good at chaining all his offense together. Very, very good. You can see in that first clip, I'm going to replay that first clip. He's actually in, and then he transitions to the barrel roll. So it's not just when you completely miss. Even when you're in and they're still defending it by getting their leg back or anything like that. You're just going back to back, back to back. And sometimes it's going from one technique to the next, like actually using one technique to set up the other one. And sometimes it's just the instant nature of, okay, I failed this attack, let me go to this one. And a lot of guys aren't expecting that because that's not how they wrestle. They're used to guys kind of, okay, I just failed this shot. Let me wait to attempt again, which makes no sense. Same clip from earlier, kind of sweep single into the dump. And then for the last clip, you're going to see, just like when he shoots, he can set up the elbow control slide by. Same thing with this one. He shot, the opponent underhooks him, right? And because of that, he's able to go right into the dump. Just want to show you him getting back points from the technique. He can also utilize the partial one to get to both his elbow control slide by and his fire miss, right? So the partial one, for you guys who've never seen any of my partial one videos, what I call the partial one is when a top wrestler gives up an escape in a way to where once neutral is established by the referee, once the referee gives 1 point escape to the bottom wrestler, the previous top wrestler is still in an advantageous position. Even if they aren't necessarily in an advantageous position, they're in a preferred position for themselves, right? So Trent Hodley, who's super good at over-unders, what he does is when he gives up an escape, he may already be in the over-under. So the over-under may not be advantageous because it's considered 50-50, but because it's Trent Hodley, it's advantageous for him, or at least preferred because that's his position, that's his main position, right? So he's able to use a partial one to go right back into another takedown as soon as he gives up the escape. And he does that both with the elbow control slide by and the dump. His boy Bo Bassett, his practice partner, very close friend of his, does this all the time. I have an entire video focusing on Bo Bassett's partial one that he does. He does it a lot more than Jax Forrest does. But Jax Forrest, I expect him to start doing it more in the upcoming years. Partial one is something that's really good for guys who weaponize pace, which makes sense because the three main wrestlers I've seen use the partial one are Austin DeSanto, Bo Bassett, and Trent Hodley. Which his senior year, he utilized pace insanely at 197 pounds, and he did his over/under partial one. So Jax Forrest has a great gas tank, but he doesn't weaponize his gas tank as much as those three guys. But he still works from the partial one. And it's just so good, man, to go straight from being on top, getting up the escape. And with 3-point takedowns in high school now, this is something that I'm going to be showing my guys a lot more. Because now neutral is even more important than it was before. And you can really rack up points. Before, it was hard to rack up points unless you was getting tilts, right? Getting tilts, getting some type of back point, maybe a feet to back move, but you had to be getting back points to rack up points and bit notches. Now you go from takedown, escape, takedown, you're up 6-1. Let me start that over. So partial one, the opponent is going to end up opting for an underhook because of that tricep grip that he has. He actually misses the dump, but goes right into the elbow control slide by. So I have almost all of these arrows pointing to one of these 4 techniques, or I should say 3 techniques, because I have nothing pointed to the head snap. But I have all 3 of these techniques pointed in blue arrows to a leg attack, because a lot of times you guys will notice, especially once guys start game planning for you and they know what you're looking for, when you attempt certain techniques, they're not going to be 100% perfect, right? Especially if you do them often. That's just not real life. So, but it doesn't matter because they still use these techniques to set up a leg attack, right? Well, not they. Jax Forrest will still use these techniques to set up a leg attack. So I'm going to show you all the examples of him doing that. Not much to say here. It's just guys are going to react. Everyone isn't going to stay down on the mat when you attempt any of these techniques, right? They aren't just going to stay down on the mat like with the short drag, or they aren't going to just let you hit them with a slide by. Sometimes the timing is off. Sometimes they know what's coming, so they prepare for it. Sometimes you lose control of the arm. So all 3 of his main techniques, because the head snap is kind of like, that's not his main technique yet, which is why I only had 1 clip of him doing it by itself. But his 3 main techniques that he uses at a high level, the dump, the short drag, and the elbow control slide by, even when he can chain those techniques together, but even when he can't finish clean and he can't chain it with a different one of his other techniques, he can just transition to a basic leg attack and finish that way. So he's very good in that respect. And this is just time on the mat. This is reps. You have to be doing these moves 100 times a week. I really appreciate you for staying to the end of the video. It really helps grow the channel when you guys watch the videos from beginning to end. Wanted to show you this, so I have Earn Your Goal Academy. It's the best resource in wrestling. It is $47 a month. I know people who may pay $75, $100 an hour for 1 hour of wrestling for one private session. So with this, if you like this video, I have one of the 10 series I have is develop a world-class fireman's carry. Fireman system, and I have the lazy firemen's in here. I have the outside carry or the barrel roll or the near arm far leg. I have the re-attack firemen's. I have the Kelly series firemen's as well, the dump that you do with the short drag. What else do I have that pertains to this video? I also have low risk, high reward takedowns where I go over the slide by in detail. I know I said I was going to post that sit car video soon. I already have that shown. It's me myself showing the techniques as well as film of it right after. How to make the slide by 10 times more effective. That's what I'm talking about, doing the slide by off your knees. Something I've been posting about for years. And I also have developed perfect shot recovery where I go over the dump short drag system that I mentioned in this video. So 3 different series that go over that in detail. I even go over the short drag throw as well as the short drag foot sweep. I mean, it's very detailed. You can build a system around these techniques. So appreciate you guys. Now I will see you on the next video. The link to the academy obviously will be posted down in the description below. Now we'll see you guys on the next video.